Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bear's Workshop for the 150th flyover of the Lucid factory in Casa Grande, Arizona. So, welcome back, everybody. See, we got a couple people on. This is a replay of yesterday's video that we took. We've already published it, so most of you guys have seen this, but really want to discuss things with you guys about the massive amount of cars and what's going on, and I want everyone's opinion. I've got thoughts. I don't have any theories, but it's starting to become a little bit concerning. So, wanted to talk to you guys about that and see what you guys have to say. So, real quick, while we're waiting for people to jump on, we're gonna flip over to the stock price. This was from Friday, closed at 868. It opened at 868, was as low as 814, and opened at 853. And then right at the end, there was some large transactions which jumped the price of the stock up to 868. So after market, it's already down 12 cents from the close on Friday, but that's probably due to the last minute bump with someone doing some large purchasing right at the end of the day. There's been a lot of conversation already in the chat, and someone had asked if I own any Lucid stock. Yes, I do. There was a couple questions about whether or not I'm grounded. I tried to be as grounded as possible. I try to be as honest with every car manufacturer that I ever talk about. There are some that I kind of don't like at all. Some cars I don't like. Some manufacturers I don't like. And some of them for legitimate reasons, some of them not. Just, you get that thing in your head. You don't like something, like a Chevy Bolt, for example. But it's still a car that works for people who can't afford anything higher than that and they want to get into the electric market. So, hey, cool. So, one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the inventory. I think we're now up to 16 cars in inventory. And the thing that's striking me about one of this is the Air Grande Touring Performance. Does anybody know of a GT Performance that actually has been delivered? I saw a couple reviews on YouTube that, it was like test drives that they were brought there by Lucid to test drive, or it was lent to them by Lucid to test drive. But I haven't seen anyone who's actually purchased one, but there's about 4, I think, of them up on the Lucid inventory site. So I'm a little confused on this one. You would think that if there was enough orders of the Grand Touring Performance that they could match these up with somebody who's already purchased one. Or maybe they're just trying to get those extra sales for the people who want the instant satisfaction of being able to get the car and get the car this year and get that tax rebate of $7,500. But there's a number of them up here. I've been watching the list. I've seen it go down one. I saw it go back up a couple. This is the highest I've ever seen it. I don't see any problem with them having an inventory and then trying to sell it. I do wonder if any of these are, if you take like an Air Grand Touring, this one in Quantum Gray with these wheels. I didn't really look at this deep to see if it was put up here if there's more than one available. They don't have VIN numbers associated with these. And it makes me wonder, like, here's a Zenith Red with the aerial blades. Let's see and this is just the GT. So let's look for another GT that's not performance in red and see if there's more than one of these. There's more than one GT Performance in red. Okay, here's another one. Okay, well, that does have the same specs on it, which makes me think that these are 2 different cars. I was kind of wondering if they had just put like this one up in this configuration and maybe had 10 of them. And from there, they, someone buys it and then someone else can come in and it's still available. But it looks like maybe that's all that there is the 14 or 16 that are up there. So it's getting these cars out right now. Lucid is really focused on meeting their production goal. And 6,000 to 7,000, okay, I think that they're going to do that in the way that they're producing cars. I think that they'll definitely get over 6,000. It's possible that they could get over 7,000 unless they're going to be taking the holidays off. And I don't know. And maybe they said you can take your holidays off in the first week of January, but let's make this goal. I don't know. We have no guidance for next year, so they don't have the pressure of the 6,000 to 7,000 on them going into next year. They'll have whatever number that they put out on the next earnings call. Peter says, yes, he saw a GTP get delivered in Scottsdale. Rollinson flew in for the event. And Peter, if you could tell us when that is, I'm a little curious. Because there's got to be a decent amount of orders for these, just like everyone who ordered the Dream Edition. They wanted the cars, and they could have sold more if they had made more. So why are these cars in inventory? And do they not have somebody that can take delivery of them? And being that they're saying that they're having delivery issues with getting through the process and getting these cars delivered. If we've got these cars here that can be delivered in the next 2 weeks, as the website says, to get the tax credit, how are they able to get these cars out and not all the others that are sitting out there? We saw a big hurdle get overcome with the production earlier this year. They weren't producing enough cars. There seemed to be issues with production. Then literally overnight, 6 guys were let go, 6 guys and girls, I'm not sure who. And production took off. Are we going to experience the same thing? And suddenly we're going to get past this? Hold on a sec. So, what is the problem with this? And are we going to see a big shakeup and production or deliveries just suddenly come out of nowhere? We've got 1,600 plus cars. That is a lot of cars. And I did a rough count. My eyes are old. They can't see that great. So it wasn't an exact count. But let's go to the video and we can see how many cars are out there. The cars in the factory might be for the EU. They're not going to be for the EU. It's been stated before that that's not happening until a later time. So I don't think they're going to be producing this car. What's the numbers here? Let's see while we're watching this. Let's get the calculator up. Let's see, $154,000 times 1,600. That is $246,400,000 worth of inventory sitting out there, approximately. So here we can see our first group of cars. Keep in mind, each row here has about 42 cars. Some of the rows have a little bit more, depending on where they are in the parking lot. Some of them have a little less for the same reason, and some of the spots are empty. But the average row is 42 wide. Coach says they need to build a railway line to help with transport. Yes, they do, but there is nothing showing that there has been anything going on with that. They were asked about it during the earnings call, and they said that they're looking at all their options, and they're very vague. Stephen Arnold says, Bear, do you really believe that they don't have a plan? I believe that they do have a plan. I do. But we don't know what it is, and we're here to just talk about it and see if we have any thoughts of what the plan actually is. Because with the production, there was a problem, and they did fix that problem. We are seeing lots and lots of production. This is a lot of cars, guys. With the amount of cars, this is more than half of the cars that they've actually delivered. More than half. Let's see. Let's just take a look and stop on this. And any prediction on fourth quarter delivery numbers? Ooh, that's so rough because there's just so many cars sitting out there. It's kind of hard to see what has gone out. We're not seeing a lot of car carriers. We are seeing some. Now, last quarter, there was a day where we saw 11 car carriers in a day. That was great. And literally, not even in a day, but in the hour that we were there was 11 car carriers getting loaded up. That's great. We haven't seen more than 3 this entire quarter at once. So, and keep in mind, we're only there for an hour. So they are delivering cars. They are being put on car haulers at all times of the day. Let's see, from the big rigs I've seen carrying Lucid cars out here in California, Lucid seems to prefer one transportation company called Extreme Transportation. Okay, that obviously is going to hurt you because you've got to go with more than one. Debt Prez, $154,000 a vehicle. Does anyone else see a problem with that? The average U.S. household income is $75,000. I do see a problem with that, but at the same time, here's a little comparison. Mercedes-Benz sold, and I'm not sure the year on that. It's 2021. Okay, in 2021 they sold 87,064 Mercedes-Benz S-Classes, and that's what we're going to compare these to. It's the closest comparison, even though they're an ICE model, but and they're still a little bit cheaper. An S-Class is still a little bit cheaper than 154,000, though you can get these things optioned out to be much higher than 154. You get an AMG version, you're going to go above that. But not by much more. So Mercedes is capable of selling 87,000 in a year. 35% of that comes from China, which is obviously a bit of an issue because that represents a decent amount. We're talking probably about 25,000 of those cars went to China, and Lucid's not selling in China right now. So there is a market for a car that expensive and that luxurious. And don't get me wrong, the Lucid Air is a very luxurious car. They're very nice to drive. Very few issues that I found when I drove one. And I think probably my main one is the ingress and egress of getting out of that car was definitely a little odd, and it's something I would have to get used to. I just felt the A-pillar was in an odd place. But that is something I probably would become more accustomed to as I go in and out of said car. There's a learning curve on the dash and all the instrumentation, but that is the same thing with every car. And once you learn where your things are, I don't think that would be an issue. So there was also a little bit of a speed issue on the infotainment center, but I haven't been in one since May. So there's very possibly been some changes. So I definitely think that there's a market for it. Debt Prez, I do think they are priced very expensive, but this is also the top of the line. It's like saying with the Model S Plaid if it came out, if that was the first car out, saying who can afford $139,000. Well, you'd have a good point, but they sell those cars a lot. They sell a lot of those cars, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I love my Model S, but the Lucid Air is a more luxurious car. It just factually is, in my opinion. So they're selling those Model S's. They sell about 10,000 to 15,000. I don't know the exact number, about a month. Times that by 12, you've got a market for it. I don't think that they're directly competing with the Model S, so I do think that Model S will lose some sales to the Lucid Air and vice versa. Some people will take the Model S over the Lucid Air, probably because of how quickly they can get it and it being just a little bit cheaper. Let's see. Bob Knightley says, I visited the Chicago delivery hub yesterday. The place was rocking with customer pickups. They had about 100 to 150 cars sitting in the parking lot. Staff working 12 to 13 hours a day to meet Q4 deliveries. There is no real goal for Q4 deliveries. They've only put out guidance for production. And if there's 100 to 150 cars in the lot, that's great. Reality is that they could be producing 150 cars a day, and they're just getting them out when we're not there, coincidentally, every single time. And maybe there's 150 cars getting shipped out a day, and they're producing 200. And that's why the parking lot continues to grow. If they are shipping out 150 cars a day, that's great. Q4 earnings is going to be fantastic. And I'm going to just say, hey, I was wrong. This is good. They need to push that inventory out, obviously, because $250 million worth of inventory. I hope there's no hailstorms. We don't get them a lot. Very rare. It's like every 5 or 10 years. So I don't think that's an issue. But they'll get the cars moving. Question is, why are they sitting there, and why are they not pushing them out a little bit faster? So Olivia says, looks like the road is almost done. That road is only half paved. If you look at the bottom, this is the median right where my mouse is skirting. That is the median, so they still have the other side to do. And there may be some underground pipe work that needs to be done along with that. William says it's strange that they're not delivering cars. It's not for the lack of transport trucks. Every one of those cars can be delivered in a week or less if they are actually orders. Strange. I still think that they're orders. I'm still a little bit nervous about the fact that the reservations went down from 37 to 34,000, and some of those were obviously deliveries, and then some of them were cancellations. That is also in line with the same quarter when Lucid is losing that $7,500 tax incentive. These might be people that wouldn't be getting their car till next year and wouldn't have a chance of getting that tax discount, even though there are things that you can do by firming up your reservation. So maybe people didn't want to take it, but I would still expect reservations to grow, even with losing some. So even though we see a net loss of 3,000 minus deliveries, there should have been more reservations put in. I would have expected to see 40,000 reservations. It's a great car. So, not sure. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed as we're passing by, they got the second row of massive palm trees put up. So, remember, those palm trees, $2,000 a pop at least, if not more. There's the connection between the two body and white buildings. Still working on that. They're getting the roofing material still put up there. And there's no concrete underneath that either, that section, but there will be. Jack says, I know it's still nothing more than an unfounded rumor, but see more and more links between Apple and Lucid every day, including Steve Woz buying a Lucid, feeling like a partnership could be possible. There is absolutely zero evidence of that. Steve Woz is no longer affiliated with Apple and has not been for decades. So Steve Woz has money. He can buy whatever he wants. So don't see links that aren't there. Steven says that there's a lot of people from other car companies that are all now working there. They know what they're doing. Yes, they do, but at the same time, there was people from other car companies that had the production issues, and it literally changed overnight when they got rid of those people. Sometimes people coming from another company, there's a reason. Somebody says that pipe work should be done before the payment. That is correct. We will see, if there's any more pipe work to be done on that side, it will be done before they lay asphalt. Though I'll tell you, the grading on that right now, as I'm looking at it, looks pretty close to being done. Though they do not have the intersections even close to being done. I think they have a lot of work to do there. When it's fourth quarter earnings, it will probably be around the first week of February is going to be my guess. Deep says maybe they're testing and don't want to deliver until they are done testing so they don't have to recall. But they're still delivering them. They're still delivering. If there was a recall involved, it would involve every car. Someone said earlier that there was 100 to 150 cars in Chicago getting delivered. So if there was something along that line, they would be delivering no cars. Dead Press, so let me be clear. I want Lucid to win, but they have to find a way to make a more affordable option if they're going to scale it to the masses. Tesla will keep winning because of the 3 and the Y. I agree with that too. Peter Rawlinson has hinted at cheaper cars, but they are down the road. They've got to get these cars with massive amount of profit uh, through first, prove the concept, get a good reputation, a good name for these cars, and then they can start creating the smaller ones. And by that time, they'll be much better at scaling up production. Olivia says, is it me or has the construction slowed? It is not you. It is the fact that we can't see as much inside the factory. All we can see is what's outside. So once all the walls are complete, we're not going to be seeing much on the outside except for them putting down concrete, running some pipes here and there, some of the smaller buildings that are still open. So we're going to be seeing less and less construction. And right now, the thing that we're more or less looking at is how many cars are out there and waiting for things to change a little bit. Zona says, I tune in every time to see if I can see myself on the forklift. It's funny. Obviously, you're either with construction or an employee there. I would lean towards construction if you're on a forklift outside. That's the junkyard that's across the way. That's a recycling plant. That is very huge. There might be more cars out there than Lucid, which is probably a good thing. Do we see any Pures on the lot? We are not seeing any Pures on the lot. Have not seen that. I don't look at every single car. There's an easy tell when we're looking at the roof lines, because they will not have that silver trim coming up the side. And if you can't see the silver trim, it's got to be a Pure. William says, let's get this revenue on the books. $250 million is a lot of money. It sure is. That is a lot of money to be sitting out there. I'm not worried about sitting out there, but I just would love to see it bringing in money. 1,000 to 2,000 cars can be shipped to Saudi Arabia per year until the factory is built. That is the number that was stated, 1,000 to 2,000, and I don't remember if that starts next year or 2024. And it doesn't mean cars can't get shipped there, but there's cars that were ordered by Saudi Arabia, by the country, and that's the ones that they're talking about. And if Lucid really needed to get these cars out, which they do, I think they're prioritized putting them here in the States where it's closer. They can deliver cars in Arizona in just several hours. So those things are possible, and worrying about shipping them across the country, putting them in boats and large shipping containers, taking 3 weeks to get there, it's not the way to get these cars out. We need to see famous people driving Lucid. PR needs to be improved. I think PR is actually doing a decent job, a little bit of overkill in my opinion, but they do need to, they have, I think Mark McGuire had gotten one, and Lucid has put those up there. Maybe they need a good Super Bowl commercial. I don't know. That would be nice. $250 million is nothing to Saudi Arabia. That's true. By the way, this is the back area where we saw cars a couple weeks ago, and now there's just a ton of cars there again. And they are, let's go back a little bit, and see that they start right about here, single file, and they're going all the way to the back, all the way up here, up here-ish, right there. So that represents another 50, 60 cars. We're going to zoom in, maybe more than that. We got double rows over here, and then we have them all piled in over here. And by the way, they almost seem like they're color-coded. They almost seem like all the darker cars over here, it's like they had stopped making some of the white cars. A lot of times, car manufacturers will make the same color in a row repetitively, so they don't have to change anything in their paint booth. Larry Anthony, oh my goodness, thank you. That is a very nice super chat. He says, Lucid GT owner since 8/29/22 and like your channel and content. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate the super chat. That Prez says that I will have one soon. Yes, I do have my Air Pure on order. BK, at BK. Let's see, Olivia Murphy. Let's see, Katy Perry's husband has a Lucid. Orlando Bloom. Okay, that's right. I have seen that. Ben with the super chat. Thank you. Can you address the rumors that Lucid is using aggressive tactics to keep reservations? I read the article. The article was overstated because it said that a salesman it started off with the salesman will call 13 times before actually canceling the reservation. But when you read the article, it actually said that a salesman will call 13 times. If nobody answers on each one of their phone calls, they will call again. So I believe it is a lot less than 13. The headline was to grab people's attention, clickbait. I don't think that was entirely accurate. Still, if I call to cancel something, I probably want it canceled and I don't want to go back and forth 13 times. I have no problems with them trying to do some sort of, I don't want to call it mediation, but maybe solve the problem. Like, what is the problem with what you have, with what's going on? Why do you want to cancel? It could be that somebody has a lease expiring and this took longer than they thought. It could be that they wrecked their car and they need a car right away. There's a lot of issues of why people cancel, and sometimes they can be addressed and helped. So I don't have a problem with that. But if they actually called 13 times and I had said no 13 times, I would probably, after the third time, probably be like, no means no. And, make some obnoxious comments about no meaning no. And go on from there. Josu says 167. Did you just count how many cars are over here, Josu? Because that is a decent amount. William, Lucid advertising PR strong, but there are only so many customers looking to spend $160,000. That is 100% true. Just going over some of the numbers, like most of you guys know that I buy my cars to put up on Turo to rent out. So I ran some numbers. And I don't put money down on cars. And if I looked at getting one of these GTs that are available and I could have within a couple of weeks, awesome. I would love to have one in 2 weeks. So I ran the numbers, and if I didn't put any money down, my loan would be somewhere around $170,000 at let's say 5% with no money down. I'd be looking at a payment of in the $2,700 range. And then I'd be looking at insurance, which is probably going to easily cost another $300 a month, being the cost of car. It could be more. Maybe someone like Larry Anthony could tell me, since he's owned the car for a while. So let's say we're looking at $3,000 a month for this car, which is a house payment. It's actually more than my house payment. Okay. I would have to put it on Turo for around $300 a day and rent it at least 10 times, 10 days within a month, just to break even. If I rented it 12 times, I would make $600. So that's a $170,000 investment for me to make $600 a month. Not worth it, because I could take that same $170,000 and buy $25,000 cars, let's see, 6 of them, and probably make about $800 a month on each one of the cars profit. And 800 times 6, that's $4,800. So for me, that took me out of the market. The Lucid Air Pure, when I buy that, that's going to be similarly priced to my Model S, which is going to probably put the payment somewhere around $1,500 or so, $1,500 with a good rate that hopefully I can get through the manufacturer. And then I only need to rent out the car 10 times at, let's say, $150. So I make a profit on my Model S. It's great to be able to drive a Model S and not really have to pay the car payment that's associated with a $100,000 car. So the Pure I'm okay with, but going all out on a $170,000 car, very risky for me. That's something that could kill me, so financially. So I don't want to do that. Jay Kim, I had mentioned the Apple partnership, my thoughts on it. I don't think that there's going to be one anytime soon. It's always possible that something could happen, but there's nothing really going on with that except for people hoping that we could get Apple's money bags in there. PW Mac talked to Senior Vice President of Operations the other night, and he said they built 200 of an exterior color overlapped with 100 interior colors. They plan to switch the overlap to 100 by 50 soon. Okay, that's very interesting. And that supports the theory of why the cars are all the same color that are stacked up there. They probably just came off the assembly line and got pushed out there. I don't mean push, but driven. There was no hills. All right, boss says, let's give me a thumbs up for doing an awesome job. Let's go. It's free. Yes, it is free. So if you guys could hit that like button, because there's 166 of you looking at all these cars, and only 60 of you to hit that like button. I'm hoping that the other 160 didn't hit the dislike button. So let's do it, please. Jordan S. I agree with Jordan S. The only Apple partnership that will happen is adding CarPlay. I doubt anything more than that will happen. Yeah, Apple just pushed back their full self-driving plans that said that they won't have anything till just on the freeway until like 2026. I mean, if they're that far behind, and honestly, everyone is that far behind except for Tesla. Now that I've had driven four different models of EVs, the Tesla does awesome on the freeway, does really, really well, especially if there's minimal traffic. It'll put you in a straight line, go around curves, and keep you where you need to go for a very long time without intervention. We're going to restart this video for people who joined late. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, if you put that on, that means you're suicidal. You are trying to kill yourself and maybe others. That is probably the worst. Actually, Polestar, the lane keeping is decent. I don't have any type of autopilot on that car. The Mustang Mach-E, I've driven that now with that on a little bit. It's much better than the Hyundai, not anywhere close to what the Teslas have. But the Blue Cruise is kind of good. It's got the camera on it, and it literally watches your eyes. And if you look at the screen too long, it will turn off Blue Cruise. It'll give you a warning. Put your eyes back on the road. You're being bad. So I haven't had as much experience with it. It definitely wasn't as good as the Teslas. Elon should worry about Tesla taking a 50% dump in a stupid overpriced Twitter purchase. Well, we're not going to talk about that, but I'll tell you what, everyone's taken a 50% dump. I know that Lucid has. Lucid's actually been taking more than a 50%. So is Nikola, and you can go down the line. Why do you think Elon has come out to talk trash about Lucid if he has nothing to worry about, since he says they might go bankrupt? Well, he did say that, but he also said that when they were in the middle of their production problems, where they were putting out 5 to 10 cars a day, and he was saying that they need to fix that. That's where those comments come from. I was worried back then, because if that's all that they can produce, and they had a goal at that time of 14,000 cars, there was no other way that they're going to make 12 to 14,000 cars producing 10 to 20 a day. And shortly after that, they made a big change. Jordan says that he's heard good things about GM Super Cruise. I have not had the chance to drive that yet, so I don't know. Let's see. Larry Anthony got his GT deposit in May at $139,000 with price protection until 7/1. Ordered it $628. Monthly lease payment after $12K down is $1,920. Okay. Thank you for that information. And that is a lease, so that changes the numbers. I don't lease cars, and one of the reasons is I can't figure out what I'm paying for it. Olivia, is FSD worth it for $15,000? Not in my opinion. I had a chance to lock it in on the Cybertruck at $7,000 when I reserved my Cybertruck, and I did not get it at that price. I like the monthly subscription if you're willing to try it. If it was fully functional, I'm okay with $199 a month. I don't keep cars long enough to get to $15,000 when I could get it for $199 a month. When you do the math on that, what is that? 75 months? I would have to. No, that's horrible math. Horrible math. Where's my calculator? Here, let's see. 15,000 divided by 5. That's not right either. I can't figure out that math, but there's no way that I would spend $15,000 on that. There again, for you latecomers, there's the connection between the body and white building. And we're going to move over and we're going to see the stamping building in a minute. Ivor says, I have a Lucid GT and a Tesla Model 3. Lucid Highway Assist is at least equal to Tesla and probably better at night and in bad weather. Okay, well, thank you, Ivor. Hope I'm saying that right. Ahmed, I love your coverage and details, very professional. What do you expect Lucid production plan for 2023? I think the way that they're going now, I think that they are probably going to be conservative on whatever they say. And I think they're probably going to stick to somewhere around 20,000. And if they get past that, great. If they don't want to go too conservative, because if they came out and said another 6 or 7,000, the market would be very upset with them because they need to get more cars out. But we can see that they can produce cars now, and they're getting into the flow of that, and that's great. We just obviously need to see the deliveries. Boss says, load up on Lucid. You did at 50 with barely any cars or factory. Look at Lucid now. Ignore the FUD. Alexei said, do you know where the cargo plane brought those GTs? I tried to track them but couldn't find the destination. I don't know about the cargo plane taking the Lucids. I'm not aware of that story. Did I count the cars that are staged in the parking lot? Well, which parking lot? The entire parking lot from, let's pause it right here. This area up here, that shimmer up there, those are all cars. The shimmer right here, all cars. And then we've got some cars, I got to look at the screen to see it, somewhere around this area over here. Somebody said there's like 176 over there, they counted. And then we have another couple hundred right next to the stamping building. Thank you, Couch. 75 months. I would have to, if I spent $200 a month, plus tax, by the way, because it is a taxable item, 75 months at $200 a month to make full self-driving equal in cost for a subscription. There's no way I would finance $15,000. That just doesn't make sense. I think over here we probably have about 200 cars. Let's zoom in there. We'll take a closer look. We didn't zoom in before, but okay, first we're going to look at the body and white building. We can see concrete over here in some parts. I'm not sure if it's entire concrete, but we know there is concrete on the other side. This is the whip building connecting the stamping and the body in white. It looks like they're getting ready to do some more concrete over here. Let's zoom in. Looks like rebar is laid out, so we might be seeing some more concrete coming in over there. You see there is still a lot of dirt over there. Some of the wall panels have been put up. They put up a bunch of wall panels and they kind of stopped. So oh, Ivor, thank you for being a patron. I appreciate that. Ivor is saying that I got his name right, which is a first that I got someone's name right. So you can see all these cars here. If you zoom in on them, it's hard to see, but they have the silver trim. Their roof color would also be the same as the rest of the car color if they were pures. We just have an angle with that lighting that makes it hard to see. But we've got cars obviously down here. These are wrapped in plastic, like they're ready to be shipped somewhere. The ones up top are not. But it looks like this is how the flow goes. They come out. This is the car wash station. They're going to go through the car wash station. They take some of the cars on the rumble track, right here. We don't see that many go on the track. We haven't caught too many, so I don't think they're doing all of them. But rumble track right there. Then they park them over here, do a little bit more of their inspection and their prep after they do whatever they. I think they have several areas of doing that. Once the cars are down here, that's where they get their plastic, and then they get moved to the bottom, and then they get pushed somewhere else. This is also where the car haulers come and pick up the cars, is this area over here. And you can see not a lot of cars up here. This whole area has been filled completely before, and not today. Let's go back just a little bit. Last week we had seen a car that was clearly all black. Let's see here. You can see the trim pieces on the rear, all silver. Those are all the GTs. Zoom back out. Brock, I don't make predictions on stock prices. Typically I'm wrong, so you definitely don't want to hear what I have to say. Slimy or Slimmy? Are all cars made from Lucid have a guaranteed buyer? I'm assuming that's what you meant was guaranteed buyer. There are at least 16 cars available from Lucid's inventory that are available for delivery within the next 2 weeks. I would assume if you live in the United States. They were all made specifically, but there have been cancellations, and those cars are available. A lot of people saying it'll cost like a mortgage payment. If so, we cannot purchase one. But we're investing in Lucid, not here to buy a Lucid, right? There is a market for these cars and people. There is a market. They just need to get them shipped out. And yes, they will be like a house payment. If I was to buy a GT, it would cost more than my current house payment. Ray asked me if I'm buying it, the car or the stock. Is Lucid bankrupt in the next time? No. Lucid still has plenty of cash, despite what you might hear. There are people who say that, yeah, they're going to go bankrupt, they have no money, but they still have plenty of cash liquidity, and plus they have the Saudi PIF behind them. So if they needed more money, they would be able to get it. Boss believes that Lucid will destroy the competition. I think they will compete with the competition. And the competition right now is the Model S and the Mercedes EQS. And both are fine cars in their right. I think the inside of the EQS is beautiful, very stylish. I believe it's lacking on range. IML says in the last clip, you could see a Lucid moving to the other parking lot. It's wrapped and ready. Let's see if we could find that real quick. I don't know when he said that, but this is probably around where. If PIF decides to go private and to buy the remaining shares, are they able to choose the price since they have 60%? If they have 60% to buy out at a penny a share, would it be legal? I don't think that would be legal. I don't know the legalities of that, but it's an interesting question. But that would seem like some sort of robbery of some sort. There may be a higher percentage of. I've never seen anything like that happen with buyouts before, when someone or a group has a controlling interest in a company. Ray says the only thing that would happen with Apple is possibly using the Lucid drivetrain or chassis and build a car on top of that. It is possible that Lucid could sell the rights, allow someone to use some of their technology and then make money off of that. Debt Press says 1920 is absolutely a mortgage payment. True. There are people out there who can afford it, but if Lucid wants to scale, they have to be conscious of their prices to the end end consumer. They do, but they need to make cheaper cars. There's no question about it. But I think the Air Pure is a is a good price point for the Model S long range. That's at I think 95 or 105,000, somewhere around there. So I think, or 99.5. I'm not sure. The BMW i7 will also be competition. I don't know much about the i7, and I haven't been able to really see much with the BMWs. I don't see them around. I've actually seen more Lucid Airs in the wild than I have seen BMW i7s. EQS has poor range, poor acceleration, and no frunk. Lucid Air is much better car all around. Ivor, you're right about that. The EQS is in the mid 300s on the range. The acceleration, well, for you can do a subscription and get faster acceleration, which is ridiculous. And no frunk is also stupid, just plain stupid. You'd think that they can design a better frunk. You've got car manufacturers that are building their first cars, like Tesla, they put a frunk in. Lucid, they put a frunk in. Rivian, they put a frunk in. And these guys are just building their first cars, or were. The EQS takes 12 hours to charge. Is on what kind of charger? What is the max charging rate on an EQS? If anybody knows or if they can look that up, go ahead and stick that in the comments, please. Use B, a big shout out to Bear from Paris for your flyovers. Hey, thank you very much. I feel like I'm traveling the world without traveling the world, because I am being broadcast in Paris. That is fancy stuff. So thank you. All right, so from this angle, we can see the progress on the construction. Over here to the right, these are all the construction workers. Let's just go back a little bit and see how many construction workers. Okay, so this is a construction worker count. That's about half of what it was earlier in the week. Not as many people there today. There are other parking lots for the construction workers. So that's not really a great idea of how many are all there, but they also park up by the employee parking lot. And there's cars parked around in other places. So over here we can see this is the dock loading area. They've got most of the concrete poured out. They have a little bit left to do on walls over here. Otherwise, most of the walls are up. They've got a couple sections like over here where they've left up open spaces so that they can bring in the larger equipment. So you can see a lot going on. They're still working on the paint tunnel. That's right here. That is still not enclosed. But that just gives you a quick update on that. EQS max charge rate around 200K. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. You know who has the lowest charge rate? The Bolt. And I mentioned earlier, if you guys were on earlier, 50K. That's why it's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of that car. 50K is not a lot. And we just look at all those cars, get them out. The retail shareholders need to see those cars get delivered. Let's see some big numbers. Yeah, I'm not expecting a big jump in deliveries in the next 2 weeks, 20 days. I mean, they're going to keep getting them out, and they'll probably be in the 1,500 range, or maybe a little bit more than what they had last quarter. But they're shooting for that goal, 6,000 to 7,000 production cars. It does make me a little nervous. I know it makes you guys nervous too. It makes me nervous just having those cars sit out there, and there's just so much money. And, you know I mentioned that they do have resources and avenues for more money, but geez, that's $250 million, $250 million in that front parking lot sitting there on Thornton Road. So would really love to see something happen there. Lucid driving at the bottom of the screen. There we go. There is a Lucid right down here. Now this car, I'm not even sure where it's going. I think I saw someone commented on this yesterday that this car, or one of the cars, actually leaves and then goes back and drives to the other parking lot. So we're going to take a look at that. Once this is done, we're probably going to call the video for the day because we've been here for so long. But before we go, please don't forget to hit that like button, because at least 78 of you have not. So I'd appreciate it if you hit it. It's free. And if you get charged for it, I'll give you money back. Promise. Jordan says at least the Bolt is affordable, especially with the new tax credit coming. Yes, it is. And that's the only bright side on the Bolt, is that it is affordable and you can go into the store right now and you can buy a Bolt. They are available today. And Harry says, off topic, but he's seeing Rivian trucks all over Portland recently. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of them. I'm also seeing a lot of the Amazon Rivian van. Those are so easy to spot at night with the rear light, because it's a giant upside down U or a staple, and it is so bright you could see it from very far away. All right, so guys, we're gonna end this right now because we've been here a while. This is a long one, but I wanted to talk about the inventory, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and the video. So if you could go ahead and hit that like before you disconnect, and if you got any questions or comments, put it in the chat. If the chat closes down because you waited too long, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll address them if it's directed at me. I want to thank everyone for being here on a Sunday morning. Oh, afternoon. Jeez, I lost track of time. But thanks for being here.